Consciousness podcast. Today, we will talk about the men's group we had in the spring, because a new men's group is forming here in September. So I invited Cornpleb, a Bitcoiner who was part of the first men's group, to come here and talk about his experience. So you can get an idea of how it is to be part of this group. So welcome, Cornpleb.
Yeah, thanks, Sama. Happy to be here.
Nice. So I was just thinking we will just go through like your thoughts and feelings throughout the group. And let's start then with, how did you hear about it and what were your thoughts about joining the men's group before you decided?
Yes, so I must confess I cannot remember exactly, but I remember that in the beginning of the year I stumbled upon, I think, one of your articles, or maybe it was retweeted by somebody I followed on Twitter or something like that. And then I followed you on Twitter for a while, and you started sharing your idea about this men's group. And at that point in my life, it was really like, it felt like a coincidence, because I was thinking about finding some kind of men's group in my neighborhood, but it was really hard to find something. So it was really like presented to me, and I thought about, why not doing it online? We two got in contact, I think, and talked a little bit about it. And I still wasn't sure in the beginning, because I think there's a big difference between meeting somebody in person or over the internet. At least I thought that would be a really big difference. As it turned out later, it was absolutely perfect to do it over the internet, because it gave the whole thing a different quality, meeting people from all around the world, not just in my neighborhood. So it was not comparable. I think both has advantages and disadvantages. So that's how everything came to be, I guess.
Yeah. So did you have some expectations? It was also to do with Bitcoiners, and you're a Bitcoiner, right? Was it interesting for you to connect maybe with Bitcoiners on a deeper level?
Yeah, that definitely played a big role. So I'm a Bitcoiner for several years now, and I really enjoy being around other Bitcoiners that also share our, I would say, positive view of this world that Bitcoin will bring. And also, this is hard to find in my neighborhood. So it's basically only taking place for me online, to talking to other Bitcoiners. And that was, I think that gave me also the final push, that it was not just a men's group, but a men's group of Bitcoiners. So I thought we probably share a lot of the same interests and can also talk about Bitcoin here and there, which I love. And so this was really a combination of two things that I was looking for at this moment in time.
Yeah. And this is also what I had in mind for this conversation, because I really like to work with the flow of spirit, or the invisible hand, or what you say. So I didn't want this to be like a marketing podcast when we just talk about all the great stuff, but more like just stating, this is how it was, this is what we do. And then it's more like other people just can feel from within themselves, drawn to it or not. And like you said, for you, it lined up very well with the events in your life. And this is really like the decentralized spirit of this men's group, that I feel drawn, I feel called to set it up. And then the participants felt called to come in. And this just creates this magic around it. Is this something that you can agree with?
Yeah, definitely. It was really mind blowing for me that suddenly this kind of presented itself to me while I was looking for something like that, not sure what exactly I was looking for, and then it just came into my life and at the perfect time. So yeah, exactly like you said, like I think I was kind of open to this idea in general, and when you are open and think a lot about something, I believe that sooner or later something that will kind of match this energy will find you, and then you need to take the opportunity that presents to you, and you need to see it.
Yeah, and many of the men in the group talked about synchronicities and experiences like this around the group. So then you came into it, and let's talk about the group sessions then. So sharing sessions. So we are online. We have video if we want to, and we share our stories with each other, and we get feedback from others. Could you talk about your experience with this?
Yeah. So I think this was also one of my most favorite parts of the whole experience, listening to the other men sharing what is on their mind, on their heart, what is going on in their lives, and also obviously sharing my part and getting feedback on it. So this was really good to hear for me from other people that were going through kind of the same things, just in a different surrounding or different setting, but yeah, struggling through the whole COVID years, having kids and how to raise them in this current world, and how to be a man, basically, which I think is something that nowadays is portrayed in very distorted ways often. And yeah, I basically had to unlearn, or still have to unlearn, a lot of things about what it is, this thing of being a man in this world and being there for my family. And it helped a lot talking with other men about those things. And the sharing sessions were, I think, a very important part of this.
And it was also quite amazing to see people's progress from week to week, and to really feel the support of the group. And also when they were able to share their difficulties, and how this process from being able to share their difficulties, and then somehow they transformed and turned into strength during the time of the group. Do you agree?
Yes, that was really interesting to observe, because the group, yeah, took place for several weeks. And yeah, so everybody is in the beginning, obviously you need to get to know each other, and it's more casual, and then we went deeper and deeper. We built more trust with each other. We were opening ourselves more and more, and then yeah, we talked about stuff that was going on in our lives, and then things started also to change, and then we could talk about this. And yeah, it was really fascinating to see how many of us in the beginning maybe came in with a more, I don't want to call it a dark mood or a depressed mood, but I was, so at least for me, I was feeling a little down in the beginning. That's also, I think, why I was looking for something like that. And then bit by bit, I could feel more positivity coming into my life, and I started to get more active again, and taking control back. And this was really, really nice to observe on myself, but I think also on the whole group.
Yeah. And then we also had individual sessions. So just me and you talking. Could you say something about those?
Yeah, so once per week we had an individual session as well, exactly, and this was a totally different experience and something I have never done before. And yeah, so we came together online, and we talked a little bit about what was going on in my life, what was on my heart, and which was good to share it. And then we meditated together, and you guided this meditation sessions. And I really enjoyed it. So I meditated before on my own, and sometimes it worked quite well, but most of the time it was hard for me to still my mind and relax. And with your guidance, it was much easier, which was also one of the things I didn't expected to be able to do online. It was like your vibrations, your energy somehow reached me and calmed me down. And yeah, you were guiding me to this place where I could really let go. And I remember one particular session where I really felt some dark spots in my body that corresponded to some of my old patterns and fears and behaviors. And I was really able to go in there and let them go and dissolve them kind of in a light. It was really, really crazy. So afterwards, when we were finished, I left the room, and my wife came into the room when I wasn't there, maybe 20 minutes later. And then she came down and said, what were you guys doing there? There's such a dark energy in this room. I had to open the windows and let the sun in and the wind. So that was really mind blowing for me, because that was exactly what I was feeling and what we were doing to release these energies. And suddenly she came in this room and yeah, kind of picked it up. That was really mind blowing for me. So I really enjoyed those sessions.
You had previous experience of LSD, right? So you were telling me that during your trips, you're able to see your programming, but that you felt that it was difficult to change the programming. So when you came down again, you were still stuck in the same programs. So it's like you could see them, but not being able to change them. And that you came into the men's group with the frustration around that. Could you explain how we, in your individual sessions, were able to go to similar spaces as LSD and able to together actually make some changes that later, when you go back to your life, you could actually notice those programs being edited?
Yeah, exactly. So I have some experiences with LSD, and like you described, it was for the first time in my life, I was really able to feel and see those patterns, that especially fear-based patterns or anger-based patterns that are really deep rooted inside of me, and that I want to resolve, because I realized. So then after seeing them, I realized, okay, they affecting me in my life. And after, yeah, coming down, at least I could still observe them in my regular life, which was new for me, and a good progress. but it was still very hard for me to, in the moment when they were triggered, to not act them out. So this was really, really difficult. So when I acted them out, I almost immediately afterwards realized that this was one of those patterns, and I often then regretted acting it out. But yeah, I was stuck with them. So in our individual sessions, for the first time without LSD, I was able to see those patterns in our meditation and feel them. And also because I think that was the crucial part that was missing when I was basically doing LSD alone was talk about it and somehow release it. So talk about it is, I think, one of important techniques to release those patterns, but also the way of together going into them. It's hard to describe with words in these meditations, and releasing them on that level is also a very effective technique I learned in these sessions.
Yeah, so it's like first we talk in like more lower consciousness, like everyday consciousness, and then the meditation lifts us to higher consciousness. We're able to see our programming, and then we learn how to communicate, talk while staying in that state. And that could be the tricky part, because when we start talking, we sort of sink down to our normal patterns and we become like an everyday consciousness. So with some training or with some practice, we're able to stay there and talk. Even though we talk a little bit slower, we still are able to communicate and, can you see this pattern or do you feel this pattern? Let's go into it together, because if we are alone on a trip, it could be maybe more difficult to know where should we go. And here it's more of a teamwork, working in a similar sphere as LSD, a little bit safer, because we can go out of it anytime. Or what do you say about that?
Yeah, that's true. With LSD, you're stuck after you took it, and you have to go through it until it wears off. That's true, and can get tough sometimes. And maybe your biggest fears maybe are better tackled in a meditation session where you could potentially stop if it's too overwhelming. So that's probably a good thing. I think doing LSD is also, you need to prepare a lot, from my point of view, to use it in a healing, self-healing way, not just doing it on a party and observe nice colors in the world and stuff like that, which is also interesting. But yeah, if you want to use it to heal, you need to prepare, and you need to be open if something dark comes up to go through it, because otherwise it can get really stressful. But yeah, I really love this whole potential of psychedelics in general. I think it's an awesome tool, especially if you are alone and have not found somebody yet to share and have these meditation sessions, then it can be a powerful tool. But yes, also should not take it lightly. So I guess for somebody that wants to dissolve their patterns and fears, it's a very good idea to go into such a men's group and talk about them there, and maybe then do some meditations together and see where this leads. I think this is a really good path. Yeah, in the beginning, for me, it was also, it's hard to open up to other people. So this is also one of these things. If you are not used to talk about those deep topics, you can feel a little bit intimidated, but this wears off pretty fast because everybody is sharing more and more, and you feel this connection. So you need to just take this step, and afterwards it's a great experience. And yeah, I never regretted participating.
Actually, Fractal Encrypt, he will come on the podcast next week. So then we will dive more into the psychedelics with him. You know him, right?
That's so great. I'm just listening to him on another podcast, and where he explains a little bit about this article he wrote recently on Citadel 21 about Bitcoin and psychedelics as tools of sovereignty. And that's awesome. I'm already looking forward to you guys talking.
Okay, and then we had also group meditations. This will change a little bit in the upcoming one. It will be combined with the momentum meditations. So it will be some other people also there. But the format will stay the same. So it's like half an hour guided meditation and then half an hour with conversation meditation. Or it's this Indian word for it, it's sat sang. It means like truth talk. So basically, it's like when you come into a meditative state and then talking with others. So that could be asking questions or just sharing what's on our heart or mind. Could you talk a little bit about those group sessions that we had also, when it was not sharing, but it was just meditating and discussion?
Yeah, sure. So this was also a very interesting experience. Basically, 3 different kind of sessions. Exactly. So we had those sharing sessions, we had the individual sessions, and then these group meditations, which had a totally different kind of energy to them, meditating together. Again, didn't expect this to happen online. Maybe in a room with full of people, I was expecting some kind of certain energy, but online I didn't expect it. But it happened often that after the meditation together, people were basically kind of sharing the same feelings around some topics. It was, and somebody else said, "Yeah, I was feeling the exact same thing." And I had this, I think, a couple of times when somebody after the meditation started talking a little bit about something, and I was really blown away. It was really like I basically felt or saw kind of a similar thing during the meditation. That was fascinating, and there were often very deep conversations afterwards about some spiritual topics, which I loved a lot because I never really talked about those before with anybody else. And so this was again something very different, something very powerful.
Yeah, and it's this space as well as the sharing sessions. It's this to come into sort of a different way of communicating. Like we're so used to communicating with our mind, with our concepts, and it's like on a superficial level. But here, because everyone go into meditation, it's like we start talking from our hearts more, and it's almost like we are almost talking without knowing what we will say. That we are just being ourselves together and sharing from the heart what we experience. And so I think this is a good environment for learning who we are and what we really think without filtering everything through our mind filters, who we should be, how should we present ourselves, but just more like heart to heart communication. Is this something you experienced also?
Yes, I think that's a good way to describe it. You're definitely on a different level when you are in this meditation or afterwards, yeah, you're like you said, you're not talking about topics from the mind, but more from the heart, from your deeper core, and there's more truth somehow behind it. It feels more important, more connected. Yeah, this gives, at least it gave me in this group setting, a feeling of purpose, of belonging together, also being open, yeah, being able to open myself, which was also pretty hard for me my whole life, because I always feared when I open myself that somebody will hurt me. Yeah, doing it with this, combined with these meditations and group meditations, really gave me the strength to do it. So I think this was a really important part of the whole journey.
Okay, and then afterwards, sometimes it could be like, oh, it's a nice time, and then it finished and everything goes back to normal. Was this your experience, or did you feel that it had a lasting effect on how you see life, how you approach life?
Yeah, it definitely had a lasting effect. So I think since the end of the men's group until today, I was able to continue dissolving some of my patterns by meditating on them, but also by feeling the confidence to be able to solve them. It was, maybe before this group, I was not really convinced I could change myself on those deep levels. I was feeling like I was stuck in the mud and everything was dark, and I was trying to get out, but it was kind of too much. And now I'm kind of out of the mud. I'm feeling like right now I'm going fast. I feel like in a couple of months I can run. I feel energy, positivity. I tackle my challenges. Yes, it was great. So we also had this group chat on Signal or Telegram, and we could also reach out outside of the sessions. And after the men's group was over, we stayed in touch, which was really nice and important, I think. Yes, so I definitely took a big part out of this whole experience into my everyday life with me.
And we recently had a reunion after 2 months, and it was great to see everyone again, right?
Oh yeah, that was awesome. That was a really good idea. We had a reunion and were talking about what was going on in the last 2 months. Everybody shared and got some feedback again, like in the good old times. And that was really awesome. I think most of the guys were also like me in a much more positive mood, and everybody felt to me like was more confident, even though some were still going through some struggles, but they sounded confident to be able to overcome them and to stay strong together with their family often. It was really really nice to see the guys again and talk. So I hope we will have another reunion maybe in a couple of months. That would be great.
Yeah. About decentralization in a group like this, it can be seen as it's centralized and we sort of have to follow a leader, or that we have to become something that we're not. We have to belong into a group. And what I really try to achieve with these groups is this decentralized style of, it's about everyone finding their voice. And it's not about some particular exercises or techniques or beliefs or systems to follow, but it's really this, everyone is just allowed space to grow into who they are. And it's this equal feeling where no one is above, even though I organize things. it's still left to spirit, or to left to the invisible hand to guide us through this journey together. Is this how you experienced it also?
That's a very important thing that you are touching there. Yeah, I think it's important to get this balance right. You set up the whole thing and you provided the framework, but it was also that you gave a lot of space for people just sharing and being themselves. It was never like, okay, now we're doing it that way, now we must have to do it like this. Meditation works like this. Please follow my guide. And this was never the case. It was really everybody could experience what works for them best on their own and then bring it in, because there was this space. And yeah, I guess this is really important, because when this group ends and you were totally dependent on the group leader, then it's centralized. You are dependent on it to continue or to start again or whatever. But I think the way you set it up, it was really like, okay, afterwards or also during the group, it was, you learned what works for yourself, and you can take it with you everywhere and do it also alone, or do it with other people, not members of the group. Talk to those people, have meditations alone or together with other people, share something. So yeah, I think it's really the spirit of Bitcoin, of decentralization, empowering the individual. This was an important theme that was really good to set it up like the way you did it there, to foster this decentralized approach.
It's like imitating the Bitcoin network, where everyone has their node, and it's about just people getting to know their node rather than look at me or look at my node and follow me. But it's really not about that. It's really like, look at you and you and you, and look at all of our different nodes and how great each individual node is. And the network wouldn't be strong if we follow each other. The network becomes strong when everyone realizes their own potential. So I'm really glad that you had that feeling, and because this is also the huge reason why I like Bitcoin. It's this physical or digital representation of what I experience in the creation network, and it's really just about each node finding their own light.
Yes, very well said. Very well said.
So yeah, that's it, I guess. So thank you very much for coming here today and giving us this information, your feedback on your experience. Is anything else you want to mention?
Yeah, sure. So I guess people can find me on Twitter if they want to talk with me about this whole experience, or a general topic about Bitcoin, spirituality, LSD, whatever comes to their mind. I'm open to talk about those things. So maybe you can link my Twitter profile in the show notes. I'm Cornpleb on Twitter, so CORNPLEB. Yeah, I think that's all I can share about this experience. And to sum it up, really a big step in my life to kind of give me the strength and energy to tackle the new challenges that lie ahead of me. So I just want to thank you very much, Sama, for setting this whole thing up. Must have been also a lot of work, I guess, with 10 people and all those sessions. and just wanted to use this opportunity to say thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we reduced it now, so it will be 8, maximum 8 men this time. So it can be a little bit more intimate, a little bit more time for each man.
Yeah, I can only just, everybody out there listening to this, not sure, undecided, just do it. It's great.
All right. Let's stay in touch and see what happens next, right? Into
Yes,
the bright future together.
definitely, Sama.